Marriage is God's perfect plan. Marriage is God's perfect plan for companionship that has continued to travail the face of the earth since its first inception at the Garden of Eden. However, with the rise in cases of divorce, broken families, and domestic violence, a lot of myths and misconceptions have risen regarding marriage, with others citing marriage as a dangerous ground that should not be ventured into. We dig deep into the lives of those who have dared to walk the journey of marriage and proven that indeed marriage works. Join us as we demystify the myths on marriage and view marriage from... Hello viewers, and welcome to our first ever episode of our series Marriage Works. And joining me on the show tonight is Reverend Godfrey's family.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, everyone behind the camera. The Lord bless you. We are glad to be on the show to promote what we believe in, what works for us. And we want to introduce ourselves. And in this show, for every question and for every discussion, my wife will go first. My beloved, now 26 years and 3 months. Welcome and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Hello, my viewers. I'm Pauline Wangeshi Kamau. I'm born again. I love the Lord so much. And I thank God because of this day that the Lord has made. Yes, I'm a teacher by profession. I had a school called Kibubuti. And I thank God because I know today we shall have a good moment of sharing about our lives. Thank you.
Viewers, my name is Godfrey Josephat Kamau Mburu. I am born and raised in the Laikipia County and born in a big family of 11 siblings. And I'm excited tonight to introduce myself as a born-again Christian, as a practicing church planter, as a practicing local congregation pastor, and as a leader of a growing church. But above all, and most inherent to me, as a husband of one wife and a father of 3. I am glad, I hope something that can inspire someone, encourage someone is coming up tonight. Myself and my beloved, we are looking forward.
Thank you so much, Reverend, Mrs. Reverend. Well, marriage has always been something that there have been so many hearsays, fallacies here and there, but thank you so much for being a part of this show. And we all know that marriage begins from somewhere. You don't just wake up and find yourselves married, which brings us to our first question for tonight. You tell us how you people met. Talk about your dating life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you very much, Derek. So, I met this fine man in a mission. Yes, so we had that passion to serve the Lord, and I still remember that day that I was invited to a very great mission that was happening in Laikipia. That's where I hail from, and I was invited by one of his friends. I had not met him before, and it's during this time that I came to know him, and with the time we became friends, and as we continue, the rest remains history. Yes. So immediately after knowing one another, and as we prayed and waited on God in this area of desiring to have a partner, the Lord finally made us friends at a different level, where now we began our dating. And our dating life was great, of course with many challenges. And now that he used to live in Nairobi and I used to live at Nanyuki. That's where I was working from. And of course, by the grace of God and through hard work, we managed. And I thank God that he made us meet.
Yeah, thank you, beloved. She came to meet me through my Form 1 desk mate, these so-called inviter formations. And I want to say nothing happens by chance. The Form 1 desk mate caused us to meet. And he gave us many platforms, not for us to date, but for friendship with many others to grow. I need to observe that unlike myself, my wife sees dreams, sees visions and dreams. So early in our encounters, the Lord prompted her that she met her husband. So, and unawares, she kept praying as I struggled with my life in many areas. And here we are. We dated slightly about 2 years, and long distance, but we met once every week. That's when I discovered there are night buses to the town where I schooled from Nairobi. And wherever I went for missions, whether to Malindi, whether to where, the stop for Monday morning was Nanyuki, and some friends used to host us, and the Lord bless them, the Lord keep them. They gave us the context. And I didn't think the distance, we met more than people who lived and worked together in one town. Every week, at least once. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. And there's something quite intriguing about how you met. You say she had a dream of...
After we met, she captured that dream. Mm-hmm. And she can talk about it.
Okay. Maybe I'll not call it a dream per se.
Oh.
But I still remember it was that period where a girl really desires to know who will marry her. I used to be very fearful around that area. Now that I had experienced a problematic marriage in our family, that is from my dad and mom, and I really used to fear. And I remember praying a lot, and at one point the Lord put a prayer in my heart. Yes, because I can only say it is the Lord who put that prayer. I don't know where it came from. And I found myself asking the Lord, oh God, I just pray that you would show me the picture of the man who would marry me. Then after that, you remove it from me. I was only 22 by then, so I was not even ready for marriage at that point. But I used to pray a lot around that area. So now, when I prayed that prayer, the Lord answered it immediately. I still remember I was on my way to preach to a rehabilitation center. There I was ministering to some street boys, and it was early in the morning. And my heart was desiring that the Lord would just show me, then remove him from my way. And after preaching to the children, I went to a nearby church where I had been invited by a friend. They had a youth Sunday. So I went, and it was still very early. And do you know the first person I saw that day? It was him. Yes, he was just seated.
The
by
Lord
gate.
answers prayers. You just need to know this.
And actually, he was the first one to arrive in that church, and I think I was the second.
Was a preacher.
Yeah, he had been invited to preach. He was around that town now that they were planning for the mission, and therefore they had invited him to preach for that Youth Sunday. And the moment we set our eyes on one another, the Holy Spirit just ministered to me.
Wow.
Here he is, your husband. Hey.
26 years and 3 months.
And I got shocked, I got surprised, and I almost finally rebuked myself. What is this? I even thought I was carnal. But I remember we greeted, we talked, he asked me many questions. Finally he preached, I was very blessed.
Wow.
Yes. And after that, of course, he also invited me for the rally to talk about the mission and to pray for it, and also for the Kesha. And we just became friends. And immediately the Lord removed that rope, by the way. Si ati niliendelea nayo, he removed it. So God speaks to us in different ways, and we may not say that he must speak the way he spoke to me, but there is a way the Lord speaks to you and you understand it and know his will.
Bless the Lord.
Amen.
Yes, so it's safe to say that it was you that noticed him first.
Okay.
In our privacy.
In my privacy, yes,
Mm.
but I didn't show it to him, so he never knew what I was thinking. And I'm saying it was not even from myself. It's a prayer that was being answered in a way. But I didn't prompt anything. I just kept and pondered it in my heart. Like Mary, Mother of Jesus. Yes, she used to keep them in her heart and ponder, waiting for the appointed time. Yes.
Maybe a quick question back to Reverend. On your first encounter, you see, for her case, she had gone through that prayer, and then you're the first person that appears. Give me a sign and you're the first person that appears. Maybe briefly, tell us your experience when you first met her. Did you even fathom that at one point she was the one, or you just saw?
No, this was a baby. This 50-plus-year-old baby face. You can imagine at 22. This was just a baby. Nothing would cross my mind. Nothing. I was in my own issues. I was having a girlfriend. I was not interested. So God was dealing with her her own way, his own wisdom. I needed my things to work elsewhere.
Great. Now, going back to you, on you noticing him first, there is this trouble or this notion that a lady is not supposed to approach a man, but there are situations where a lady may notice a guy that she likes. How are you handling this?
Okay. I began by saying it was just a prayer. Then immediately after the Lord revealed it, it's like he also removed it from my mind, just the way I had prayed. That God just showed me the picture, then remove it. Because from there, actually I found myself even rebuking. I started rebuking myself. And I think I'm carnal. How can I be thinking about that? And I'm not getting married tomorrow. I'm still very far from marriage. Personally, I was desiring to marry at 25. So when I had such thoughts, I just rebuked them and imagined that it was not God. So now later, I even came to realize that he was dating while we were in a mission. Actually the same mission. I came to know his girlfriend. People talk a lot. And he was our coordinator. He was our coordinator. Of course I was telling myself, hey, Nakweli, this was
Kano.
Kano. You know, I rebuked myself actually. Actually, hakukuwa tina those even feelings. You know, ni mtu hata hamjuani. You have just met. So hakukuwa na hiyo chemistry as such. Yes.
It was only a revelation.
It was just a revelation. So I just rebuked myself. Kumbe hata, those were my thoughts.
Now, after all this, you've said it blossomed out of friendship. Can you give the nitty-gritties, the small details of how and who popped the question? When? How did it eventually materialize from friendship into the relationship that we are now counting 26 years and some months down the line?
So after preaching together in that mission, his friend now just decided that they would pop in through my house. So they came a group of them.
My deskmate.
Yes.
Form one.
And since then, this group just felt they want to be visiting me. Whenever they would come for follow-up, they would land into my house. I had a very big house, 2 bedrooms. I used to stay with my 2 sisters, my siblings, because I'm the firstborn. So now they would come, we would cook for them, we would chat with them, we would analyze the mission together there. Whenever they would come for follow-up, they would also come. And with the time we just became acquainted to one another. Of course I knew he was dating. But then with the time, he started opening up his heart to me. Yeah, he made me one of his prayer partners. So he would share his prayer items. At times even write letters. Yeah,
P.O. box.
Wakati wa kulikuwa kwa wakati wa P.O. box. Yeah, so he'd share with me his predicaments ananiambia, oh, you know I'm dating and my relationship is on the rocks. I'm facing this and that. Please keep praying with us. And I tell you, I would pray sincerely. During my fasting and praying, I used to remember them. And I would tell God, oh God, help your servant. You know, how will the people say when they find such a servant of God breaking a relationship? And I would feel it's very wrong to break a relationship. So I would pray for them seriously. But the more I prayed, the worse it was becoming. So now whenever he would come, I would ask him, I hope now things are getting better. Yeah, he would say, oh, Sijui, things are not very good, please keep in prayer. And finally, he came and broke the news. Of course, they would come and he will not come alone. Yeah, and told me, oh, kimeumana zaidi. And he gave me a story of how he got sick for 3 good days. After breaking
I have no records.
after that relationship, he would not move from the house. Yeah, he was so depressed that time. And I just encouraged him and he kept on praying.
The rest is history. Well, maybe let me hear from you. Let me hear your view. Like, how did you finally know that she is the one?
Well. What do I tell you? One, I met this very, very, very kind woman. Very kind woman. Apart from being prayerful, apart from loving God, a very, very kind woman. Every time we visited, she fixed a cake. Not with an oven, but not with a modern oven, but with a local, what can I call it? Jiko. And I thought the cake is easier to cook than ugali. I just later on discovered it's very hard to make a cake. I met this person who loved the Lord and who literally loved people with tendencies to become pastors. And I was definitely going to be one. Actually, I was doing full-time ministry. I found this woman who loved to hear my stories and who responded with assuring love. And as I prayed, the Lord guided me to her. Not to two, I wasn't choosing between Sister so-and-so and Sister so-and-so and Pauline. I was sure this is the woman. And well, we landed there, many of us, and one very close friend of mine. We just landed, and we knew everyone is seeking attention. And it was tough, imagining I'm lost. I came from Nairobi, he stayed from near there. And they even shared the name, you know. So I don't mention the name. And he would come many times as we would go, rarely. I saw her once after we started dating. But before we started dating, sometimes we would not meet even a whole month. I mean, even 2 bishops were not always in her town. They were in the whole big region called East Africa, and here we are. The relationship gave birth, the friendship gave birth to the opportunity to discern this is the woman.
Wow.
And here she is. Yes.
Wonderful. And now, you talked about dating for 2 years. Now, 2 years, long distance. Briefly, talk about it. How did you manage the pressure of long distance relationship? Any challenges, any fears you had during this 2-year dating period?
In the 2 years, number one, I never feared that she will boot me. I never feared she will boot me. So I had no pressure of imagining other people are seeing her. But she was seeing many men. She was seeing many men. Like, she is very friendly and very sociable. But I was assured she is honest and innate. And we made a program where we spent in some friend's house. The Lord bless Simon and be nice. They fed us almost every Monday, those 2 years. And they hosted us. Now that she was working during the day, we would only meet after she comes from work. And I would leave at 4 a.m. to be in Nairobi at 8 for work. And that was enough. We traveled enough for missions. And luckily she afforded the time of the weekend to the schools. And she also afforded time over the holiday to be on missions, and we saw each other loving the Lord practically, away from personal devotions, in the real life situation. And here we are. So Derek, as it were, I never thought I'm disadvantaged that someone might pass by and gain their attention.
Well, now to the main business, that is the marriage.
Yes,
Now,
yes,
this
yes.
is where your life has inspired most of us. And talk about it. Talk about your marriage. It's 26 years and how many
3
months?
months.
And 3 months and counting.
And my wife will be talking fast on this, and I'll be long. Welcome, beloved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have been married now for those 26 years, plus almost 3 months now. And that's a long time. But when we look back, we feel like we were married yesterday. I don't know why. It seems like it's just for very few years. Yes. Actually, we have always lived together. Of course, after marriage, I was still working at Nairobi, and it took some time, like a year, to get a transfer. And once I got it, apart from a few days when he would go for missions, and the longest he went was it for 2 months or 1 month to Tana River? Yes.
Not many days, 21 days.
Yeah, they were only 21. Hey, I found like a year. I found like it was a year. So we have always shared life together every day of our lives. And let me say, it has been good. Of course, there are always hiccups in marriage here and there. As long as people live together, of course it is all challenges. But let me say that we were aware of that I'm not marrying an angel, he's not marrying an angel. We both have our weaknesses, we both have our strengths, and we have learned to bear with one another in all circumstances. Maybe the biggest challenge then, especially when we were newly married, was the demise of his father. He passed on exactly a year after our marriage, and he is the second born among 11 siblings. And his father was the sole breadwinner for that family. He used to educate them, feed them, and you can imagine now him and his elder brother were now the ones responsible. And he had just joined the full-time ministry, and by then he could get some allowances. I was also very new in my teaching job, and they were paying very lowly by then. And it was a bit challenging financially, but the Lord was so faithful in providing to us. There's a gift he gave this husband of mine. He's such a fundraiser. At first I was wondering how we shall maneuver. But God in his own way just would give him wisdom. And he would talk to people. Actually, we had taken 2 of his sisters. They had just completed Form 4. And of course, they had a difference of 2 years. So one of them had just gone somewhere to look for, many jobs. But then her life started deteriorating, and we decided to pick her very fast together with the other sister that followed her, and we took them to Kenya Poly. And we would pay for their fare every day, their fee, feeding them, and it was not easy. But I'm saying God just came through for us, through friends as we fundraised. Mungu tu analeta a neighbor who has a vehicle and works in town, and he sorted the first problem of transport. He would carry them to school, so we would pay only the way back. And about food, I cannot even explain. God would send his angels, ravens. Actually, we would talk and say we are eating even better than when finally we became stable. Yeah, because God will provide. Yes, so those are some of the few challenges that we were going through. We also took some time before we got our first born. Yeah, actually we bore Jael on our 4th year of our marriage. The first year tulitaka tu kukaa, but by the second year we wanted a baby, and it was not forthcoming. So we waited for 2 good years, especially when you are waiting and you don't know up to when. It's never easy. But finally, the Lord visited us, and we got Jai, our firstborn, in 2000. We had married in 1996, December. Yes. So those were some of the challenges.
Well, maybe before we take a short break, Rev, briefly
Yes.
talk about your experience within the 26 years?
Some of the things she has mentioned would call them our standard gauge projects. Very big, like just taking 2 children to college. Maybe it's bigger than buying a property for church for over 50 million, because we were down. One of the biggest challenges was to see her desire a baby. I think the desire for a baby for a man and a woman is different. It's very different. She was uncontrollable. I'm not sure who was more uncontrollable, her or Hannah. The one, Mama Samuel. She was uncontrollable. That was huge. Beginning church, we began church 20 years ago, but we began church on the month when our second born was born. So she attended church 3 weeks, she went for maternity 4 months, and us, we just saw God. She used to sing as a soul singer. When she came back, she found the church full of workers and singers, some of them who are still serving today. We feared many things, but the Lord came through for us in various aspects. When we began church, we didn't have any sponsorship. I released my small stipend from the Minister of Serving, and we had one very, very tiny salary that could not pay rent, leave alone anything else. And we trusted God, and our fear He may not come through, but He always came through. I negotiated even with the landlord, told him I will not pay rent for some time, then after some time I would pay. He believed, and some time became 9 months. He never gave me a letter. He came by and greeted me. We talked many things, national politics, and I'm so glad when it was time after 9 months, rapidly we paid him. And those were some of the things that were supposed to be the lowest moments, but they never became low. God came through for us. It was, we were tempted to doubt. We were tempted to imagine He won't come because some things look too thick. But I want to tell you, the Lord does not disappoint. I have multiple lessons, not just for marriage, but from my experience with God, that He is faithful. He has been faithful to me and my beloved, and it has been little. When you imagine not paying a rent for 9 months, and power for 8 months, and no one came to cut, you can tell the vapor that was moving around there. Again, we took bills that were so hefty on us as we dared God to do church planting in the metropolis. Again, the Lord came through, and I think He used to come through. My wife, she dreamt and encouraged me, and I got a soulmate, I got an encourager, I got a wife, I got a friend. I have the mother of my children. Thank you. I hope I'm talking to you. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what you really asked, because I wonder what I've told you.
Well, we take a short break. And when we come back, Our guest tonight will be talking to us about their lowest moments, their highest moments, and most important of all, what makes their marriage unique. See you after the break. All right, welcome back to our show, Marriage Works, and we go directly back to our guest in studio tonight, and we are asking, you had talked about your experiences, the 26 years and 3 months in counting. What are some of your lowest moments during your marriage?
The lowest moment, the moments that you felt like, at this point, this is too much for me to bear. What are some of the lowest moments you had?
Okay. So thank you so much. Maybe I can cite one or two things. Maybe the first one being when we lost our loved one. Yeah. So it was okay. It was not still bad reeling because we bore the child, and after 2 hours, the child passed on. That was our loved one. So it was one of our lowest moments together with my husband here, and also together with our 2 daughters. And I thank God who comforts his soul, because with the time he encouraged us and finally blessed us with Daniel. Yeah. Maybe also along the way in our marriage we have lost our loved ones. We have lost his dad, his 2 siblings. Yeah, young ones. They were not old. We lost my father, then later my mom. Okay, maybe those are some of the lowest moments. But the Lord has been encouraging us. Maybe also to add concerning attacks of sicknesses. Yeah, there was a time I really got sick. Then later it was followed by 2 falls with a difference of like 4 years, 3 years. Yeah. So those are some of the lowest moments in our marriage.
Reverend, do you have a different perspective of a low moment, or you reading from the same script?
We did not discuss this, we said we don't, so that it can come out the way each one of us is. I think my lowest moment is to see her to the theater 10 times. Is it 10? 10 times maybe, and counting. And but then the low moment turns up to be a high moment, that she has not lost anything. She has not lost anything. Her drive, her encouragement, her desire, her vision, she has kept herself intact through the thick and the thin. And I don't just understand the strength of a woman in this, my beloved. She says that she can pick 10. Maybe I can add 1. You know, of course, some of them come home with babies 3 times, and then one didn't come home. And now the rest is out of other things. I think those are many heartbreaks. Sometimes you wonder, will we lose, will I lose a beloved, or what will happen? But now I know better. Now I know better. Yes.
Well, just like a coin has two sides. I know, other than the lows of your marriage, there have always been some highs. And I know, and I'm very, very certain that the highs are definitely much more than the lows. Can you just define one of the highest moments, the best moments of your marriage that strikes out for each and every one of you? Let me start with Mom here.
It should always be the first.
Okay. Maybe my highest moments is, of course, when I discovered I was expecting my first child. I was so excited, I was so happy. And actually, I saw God's visitation upon us. Yes, other moments that have really made me feel very high is whenever my dear husband here takes me out, especially, you know, in a very unique way. He just brings some surprises, especially during our anniversary. Yeah, like last year, he just surprised me with a, you know, with a great trip. And tulienda mbali, and he stayed away for 3 days, and I really felt loved. Another one is during our 25th Silver Jubilee. It was also marvelous. Yeah, the way he also took me out for honeymoon. Akanikumbusha honeymoon. Again, for 3 nights, I felt so loved. Yeah, those are some of my high moments with him. And also the way he takes care of me whenever I get sick. Yeah. Yani ananibeba kabisa. Hata literally, he would lift me up sometimes. Maybe hata siwezi panda stair, you know, because of the leg. Nimeona upendo mwingi. It's just so unique. Yes, I don't imagine that I could ever get a better husband. Yes. Ameniweza.
Thank you.
Yes, Reverend, let us hear your perspective.
Maybe you don't understand because of the leg. You have no idea what about the leg. Maybe Kimunya and Kimunya. My highest moment is to see my wife bounce back. Sometimes from near-death experiences. I think bounce back, not just to life, but to living life full of life. I have witnessed this many times. Patrick and Derek may not understand what I'm talking about. Maybe the rest won't. But bouncing back, I've seen it many times, and I'm very excited to see the desire to live. And not only that, when the Lord gives her opportunities, He takes it, the whole of it. I cannot fail to mention her very huge support in my daily living. Yeah, I live big. Maybe there's nothing to see big here. But in my obedience to God, I obey standing up and learning. And her support has been very amazing. And talking, many people doubt me. I said to buy some plots across here for the church, many millions beyond our ability as a church. She just believed. we started working on it, I think those has given me a lot of faith in her. Other than that, her undulating commitment to her covenant, to her love, I sleep. Sometimes I will see her disturbed when she's sick, and I would get disturbed that she feels like she's not offering enough. Yes, she has offered just too much. So thank you for walking with this there. Yeah, and the way she has raised our children with her faith, when they were in high school or in one high school, every time there was a school event and she didn't come, they feared the worst. But when they came home, whatever the situation was, she was full of encouragement to them. They never got broken, even when things were very bad on us. I don't know what else to say. I don't know whether I'm saying the things you want. I'm saying the ones that flow from deep within me. Yes.
Yes. Now, during the period that you people were dating, and the love life between the two of you was beginning, I'm very certain there were some things that you intended to achieve as a couple. There were some goals that you had set for yourself that once we get married, this is what we want to accomplish. And it has been 26 years and 3 months down the line. Do you think you have achieved some of the goals you had set for yourself?
Yeah, we can say we have accomplished a lot. Okay, maybe not to the fullest, but a lot. Yeah, of course, as we were dating, we talked about many things. We talked about our future. We had said we desired to get 3 children, and it was fulfilled. Yeah, we talked that we were to begin a church. Yeah, personally, I used to desire to be married by a preacher. Yeah.
Glory, hallelujah.
Because
There are not many.
I just like it. And the Lord did it for us. And I thank God He has sustained. There are people who begin as preachers but don't end well. But at least so far He has maintained. And finally He became a rev. When we were planning the wedding, and he had told me that in my old age I'll become a rev. So he became a rev.
Became very old very fast.
When we were expecting, even we were not expecting we had Giant only. Giant was a baby those days. When now he said, when he now said, this is the time to begin, it took some time.
No, Jared was not born, it was 98.
When he
But
began,
we took 5 years to implement.
Yeah.
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah. And I thank God that the goal was accomplished. We also desired that I would further my studies, and finally I did my degree immediately after we were through with educating the 2 sisters, and also, of course, assisting the other young ones in their family. Yeah, that was a goal accomplished. I thank God that He stood with me. Yeah. And we also wished that we shall be able to have property, investments, and it's underway. We were able to acquire this plot to build, to acquire another plot in the Verai, and we know the Lord is taking us far. Yes.
Reverend.
Yes, those things have happened, but we didn't have many dreams. we didn't have many dreams because we may have been prepared for wedding, for marriage, but there are things that were not put to us straight on the face. And one of the things I can remember we desired is to do ministry. And I think ministry we have done very, very, very well. Over 100 couples married within the Grace Chapel International over the 20 years. Hundreds of young people blessed and all over the world. I think a church in Chuka, in Kutus, in Mongoli, a church on Kiambu Road. I think the Lord worked that area, which was sharply envisioned. We had no idea of how we would do many other things. But over and above our dream to serve Him, He has added to us other things. And He is guiding us on how to implement ourselves in a big, big way. That's maybe what I would say. Yes.
Well, even as we gear towards the end of the show, I think one of the things that stands out for me in your marriage, within the few years, I would say a year or so that I have known you, is how you people treat each other. I think in the number of times I have interacted with you, there is no time I've had either of you referring to one another as a Baba so and so. It's always with this majina za kubembelezana bembelezana 25, 26 years down the line. So I want to ask, what makes your marriage unique? What do you think has made you guys last this long, that makes you feel like you want to get younger and younger in this marriage? What makes you people tick? Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of them is that love. Yes, and I think you cultivate love. Unajua inafika mahali sasa you don't bank on the chemistry. You know, before you get married, when you are dating, chemistry iko juu zaidi. Of course, even now, bado iko, lakini it's also guided by other things in life, and that is commitment. Yes, commitment to one another. That has really been unique in our marriage, and it has made us even more unique. Bearing with one another. We say that no one marries an angel. Yeah, we bear with one another, sweetness. We forgive each other. Yes. We also do a lot of communication. Yeah, communication here is very key in every marriage if you have to stick together. Yes, so we are always transparent on what one is thinking. We correct each other. Times it may look tough and one may feel like he or she's not liking it so much, but with the time it works out for our good. Siyo ya kufichana maneno. Yeah, we bring out things and we discuss and we solve. Yes.
Yes, maybe there we can have your view. What has made it work for you?
Appreciating my wife for who she is. Not thinking she should be changed. She should be different. But appreciating her for who she is. And not struggling with things that are neither here nor there. I think that has given us a lot of health. Pauline has always been Pauline, my beloved, and her strength have been very strong, and many other strength elsewhere. I think that has kept us going, looking in and seeing the green grass and never looking out to imagine the grass is greener elsewhere. The image of God and seeing her struggle to enjoy life and to make it great for us. Those things has kept us. Those things have kept us in every way. And I think that uniqueness, as we don't do games, we are just ourselves. Tukipata kaugali na nyeni tunakula, tukipata kamudhokoi tunamanga. We are not trying another life, we are in life to live. And luckily, our children have grown with great contentment, but as we disciple them for a bigger takeoff than we knew. I don't know what else to say.
Maybe if you allow me go off the script and maybe just ask this. Is within the 26 years, is there anything you will change about your spouse? Anything you would change? If there was something that you feel, if you can change this, is there anything either of you will change from your spouse?
Beloved, you're always going fast.
Okay, something that I would change.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't be taller.
Okay. Maybe whatever, some things you cannot change.
Sure.
Yes, and it's God who changes people. But of course, yale tunaweza change, we are in the process. Yes. And one of them has been losing our weight. We are really supporting one another in that. I'm doing my best. Even after this discussion, nitaenda kitchen nifanye what I have to do to make sure things are all right.
I don't eat the funny things you eat.
Yes, so
Courtesy of my wife.
we are able to change. We are really working on that, and we are really committed to it and to one another, because it needs a lot of support from one another. Yes.
Yes, Reverend. Anything you would change about her?
No, not much, not much. Over the years, I discovered it is safer and easier to accept the whole person, not some portions of the person, but the whole person, as God has packaged her. And it has been beautiful. Maybe if you ask the same question, the first few years of my marriage, maybe I would have had very funny answers. But these 26 years, I'm better. I'm better. Yes.
Well, finally, as we draw to a close, marriage has been so full of many misconceptions. We have had people abstaining and others fearing getting into marriage because of the naysays we've had here and there, people relating past experiences or stories they have had from people. Some have interacted with so many young people who are even saying we're scared of trying marriage because we have seen my parents breaking up or divorcing, or my parents battering each other, domestic violence and all that. What is your advice to the young people who are anticipating to get married? Because you have tried it, it has worked for 26 years, which is not an easy feat to achieve. What word would you give, what advice would you give to these young people who are out there, or even to the young couple that are trying and struggling what advice would you give?
Yeah, personally, maybe I would encourage those that have not yet found the right people to marry or to get married to. This is an issue of staying together until death do you part. So it may be 50 years, it may be 80 years, depending on the life the Lord will give you. So it's always good to enter with a lot of caution, especially through seeking the Lord, because I believe marriages are made in heaven. It's the Lord who brings people together, and it's always good to inquire of the Lord whether you are moving in the right way. Because all sisters are good, but not all sisters are your wives. All brothers may look very good, but not all of them may qualify to be your husband. Yes, and that's why here we are saying it's good to seek the Lord to guide you, and of course He does that. Yes, through circumstances, through dreams, through whichever way He may choose. Yes, and once you get your right person, you should also know that the person is not a perfect person. He's not an angel. He's just a human being who has received mercy and grace from God, and you should accept them the way they are. And of course, if it's something that you cannot bear, then that's not the right person for you. Yes, because I believe God is a matchmaker. Now, the person He finally grants you, as my husband is putting it, a whole package. You have to accept that person the way they are, and I believe God also uses us to perfect each other. Yes, because I'm not the way I was when I was entering into this marriage. The same with my husband here. Yeah, the Lord has changed us. Sometimes through one another, through the circumstances we go through in this marriage. So we are all being perfected each day. So the first qualification is he born again? So do not just rush to anyone just because he's on trouser, but make sure that he qualifies through salvation and also character. Yes. So young people, do not fear. It's not hard because we have a God that leads us. Yes, marriage is sweet, it's good, but of course, depending on whether you allow the Lord to lead you towards it. Yes. Don't go through current just because your friends are moving on, so now you rush. Take your time, seek the Lord, and wait for the appointed time of God in your life. Amen.
Well, Reverend, your parting shot.
Let me give a testimony that marriage is a plan of God. One will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. That's the mathematics of God. And let me also say, check that you are not discipled by the world. That you are not destroyed because people are being destroyed. I speak to you, choose to retain the knowledge of the Word of God. Choose not to lose your focus on God, His plan, His purposes, because someone who ruled, someone who did big things, was not married, whether male or female. Choose to put yourself light in perspective. Don't allow the enemy to have his field day on you because your mother did not marry well, your father did not marry well, or you didn't know him. Get the redemption, the work that Christ has begun doing let it be established in you, and see life not from the eyes of those who failed. Whatever their relationship with you, whatever their position on the face of the earth or in the sector where you serve, choose to see life from the lenses of God and marriage from the lenses of God, and you will certainly be blessed to see what the Lord will do in you and through marriage. I may not say much, but choose to retain the knowledge of God in your life, and especially in this one area of marriage. We are in the debate of LGBTQ, but that's the debate of rebellion. That's the debate of the men who chose not to retain the knowledge of God. That's the debate. They are not through. Then after Q is plus. They are still inventing things only because they never chose to retain the knowledge of God in them. And I want to tell you, you may be softy, saved, good sister, good brother, but in some areas you are not totally sold out to the Lord, that He may guide you to make the right decisions. Marriage works. It has worked for Pauline and I know it will work for you. Wait for your season, but choose to retain the knowledge of God in your life. Thank you.
Interesting. Those were some powerful words right there. Thank you so much for being our guest on tonight's show. And 26 years down the line, not something easy to achieve. We are truly honored to have witnessed a part of this journey. And we are looking forward to seeing you celebrate even your golden jubilee and more years to come. So thank you so much. And to our viewers, you've heard it from our guest today. Marriage works. Just choose to see life and marriage from the eyes of God. Until next time, catch you on the next episode of Marriage Works. I have been your host, Derek Mufasa.